This session introduces the regulatory framework and key initiatives related to SaMD, or Software as a Medical Device, in Japan. First, it introduces what SaMD is and its role in healthcare. Then, it explains how SaMD is regulated in Japan, covering relevant laws and governing bodies. Before we go further, it's important to define what a medical device is. Both the IMDRF, or International Medical Device Regulators Forum, and Japan's Pmda, or Pharmaceutical and Medical Device Act, define a medical device in similar terms. It refers to any instrument, apparatus, or implement that is used for diagnosis, treatment, or disease prevention. In Japan, medical devices are categorized into 4 classes based on their risk level, following international guidelines set by the GHTF, or Global Harmonization Task Force. Class 1 devices are very low risk. Companies just need to notify the MHLW, or Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare, and the notification is submitted through the Pmda. Class 4, which represents the highest risk category, must be reviewed by the Pmda and approved by the Minister of the MHLW. The handling of Class 2 and Class 3 products is somewhat more complex. Both classes may go through either a third-party certification process or direct approval by the MHLW. The determining factor here is whether public evaluation criteria, known as certification standards, are available. The certification system is designed for moderate-risk devices with many existing precedents and well-established evaluation methods, allowing for a quicker review by accredited third-party organizations. Examples include blood pressure monitors and multi-parameter monitors. If certification standards exist for a given Class 2 or 3 device, the product can be reviewed and certified by a third-party organization recognized by the MHLW. However, for newer Class 2 or 3 devices without such standards, the Pmda must conduct a formal review. And approval must be granted by the Minister of the MHLW, just as with Class 4 devices. So what exactly is SaMD? According to the IMDRF, SaMD is software that serves a medical purpose, but does so independently of any hardware medical device. In Japan, although there is no legal definition of SaMD, the IMDRF's description is generally used. Since 2014, standalone software has been recognized as a medical device under the revised Pmda Act. Earlier, it was explained that medical devices in Japan are classified into 4 categories based on their level of risk. When it comes to SaMD, there are special rules that apply. In Japan, Class 1 SaMD, considered extremely low risk, are not subject to full medical device regulations. For Class 2 and above, the same rules that apply to physical medical devices also apply to SaMD. Next, this slide shows the introduction of recent initiatives related to SaMD. In 2020, Japan launched an initiative called Dash for SaMD to encourage innovation. As a part of this initiative, dedicated departments for SaMD were established within the MHLW and the Pmda. A centralized consultation service was also introduced that unifies previously separate consultation services related to regulatory review, insurance, and so on. In 2023, Dash for SaMD 2 was introduced. It includes several new features, like a two-step approval system, an early consideration process, and the publication of English language review reports. The Office of SaMD within the Pmda was also upgraded to a full department, expanding its review capacity. Through these efforts, Japan aims to establish a robust and agile system for the rapid evaluation of SaMD, including products using AI and machine learning. The comprehensive consultation for SaMD began in 2021. It combines what were once 3 separate consultation tracks into one. This streamlines the process and helps speed up the practical use of new SaMD technologies. This slide explains the two-step approval approach for SaMD for therapy. Generally, regulatory approval requires confirmation of the efficacy and safety of a product through hypothesis-driven confirmatory trials based on its intended use. These trials rely on statistical methods to test specific hypotheses. To design such a trial, it is first necessary to understand the expected size of the product's effect, typically through an exploratory study. In the two-step approach, the first approval is granted based on the results of this exploratory study, within the demonstrated range of efficacy and safety. The primary objective of Step 1 approval is not to demonstrate expected outcomes for the approval, but rather to approve findings, if any, based on the collected information required for conducting a confirmatory trial. In the confirmatory trial, the efficacy and safety of the investigational device are objectively and precisely examined, and clinical usefulness for the target disease is assessed. The second approval, similar to conventional approval, is obtained later, based on accumulated clinical experience. This approach allows SaMD to enter the market earlier. However, the scope of claims at the time of launch is limited to what can be supported by the exploratory data. Developers can consider which path, traditional or two-step, better suits their development strategy. In 2020, Japan introduced a system called IDA-10, or Improvement Design with Approval for Timely Evaluation and Notification, which facilitates efficient post-marketing modifications to medical devices, including SaMD. This system is similar to the FDA's Predetermined Change Control Plan. Under IDA-10, manufacturers can submit a predefined change plan during the initial review process. specifying how they intend to update or improve the product after it is on the market. If these post-marketing changes fall within the scope of the approved plan, they can be implemented with a simple notification to the PMDA, rather than a new formal approval application. This is particularly beneficial for SaMD that uses machine learning, where performance updates are often necessary. The PMDA will evaluate whether the changes align with the pre-approved plan and if they meet the predefined performance targets, typically within 30 days. If the criteria are satisfied, the changes are accepted.